Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Soccer with Doug. My guest today is Craig Richards. I'm very, very excited about this. Craig is a longtime friend of mine. Craig was a former youth player in the U.S. soccer system, big soccer supporter. He is co-owner of Lila Lila restaurant near the Fox and partnered with Woodruff Arts Center here at Elise. Two really, really good restaurants. If you haven't been, I highly recommend for a special occasion or just a nice night out. Lila Lila or Elise. How would you describe the food at the places, Craig?
First of all, thanks for having me.
Oh yeah, thanks for being here.
I think Lila Lila we opened in 2019. Definitely leans more Italian. That's my background as a chef, and so that's just my comfort zone with food. With Elise, we went for a little bit more French, Mediterranean French, I guess, more seafood driven, which I've worked with seafood a lot in my career and just enjoy it. So. But a few more French techniques, French ingredients, things like that. So
it's fantastic food. I've eaten at both places many times. Craig, you may be wondering, why Craig? What does Craig have to do with soccer? Well, as I mentioned, he was a former youth player in the U.S. soccer system, big soccer supporter, and I thought it'd be interesting to get people who have a passion for the sport, who aren't in the sport right now, to talk about it. So Craig, talk about your background as a youth soccer player, what all you did and what led you to your love of soccer.
Yeah, well, I think I started out pretty normally in the 80s as playing for a rec team, and then eventually moved to travel team or whatever you want to call it, club team when I was about 12. We lived in Southern California and played on that team. We did pretty well, and then I was selected to play on a travel team that went to Europe when I was 13. Went over there for about a month and played in a bunch of different tournaments, Denmark, Austria, England. Really got a great insight into what it's like playing youth soccer over there. And then we moved to Nebraska. And so moved there, played for a really good club team that I ended up playing for 5 years, under 14 to under 19. And during that time, I played with the Olympic Development Program, ODP, which is they pick state teams. You play against other state teams at regional camp and stuff like that. So, yeah, I was on that ODP team from under 14 to under 19, and then got recruited to play in college by a few schools. Ended up choosing Northeast Missouri State, which is now Truman State University, Division II school. Great school, great team. Did that for 3 years, and then. That was kind of my junior year was my last year playing in college, but I've always loved the game, always loved the sport, so it's just kind of kept me going.
What position?
I played up front in high school, and then kind of like a attacking center midfielder, like a number 10, and then in college played at central midfield. Yeah, center midfield.
So who were your role models in soccer? Who did you want to be like?
I love the AC Milan team from the late 80s with Ruud Gullit and Marco van Basten. And so my club coach in high school loved that team as well. So Ruud Gullit was probably the player that I really tried to model my game after. And back then we didn't see a lot of games. There wasn't we watched RAI on Sunday mornings on public TV. That's how we saw the Italian games. But the World Cups were always big at that time. The '86 World Cup is very memorable for me, with Maradona's tournament, and then the '90 World Cup, and I went to a couple of games in '94. So I think because we couldn't watch it on a regular basis, the World Cup was even such a bigger deal.
Now you may be wondering, as you look behind us, what is this? Craig, why don't you tell everyone what we're looking at?
Yeah, we're at Elise, and this is what we call the green room, and this is a piece that was commissioned for here and painted by Tommy Taylor. And he painted it here in the space last summer. It took him about 6 weeks. He built the frame in here and all that kind of stuff, and it's on drywall with canvas. And this is the biggest piece he's ever painted. It's 37 by 10, and it was an ambitious project, particularly because it faces the High Art Museum. Right. So, but it's really been an attraction for guests when they come in, and we don't sit in here for lunch, but people will walk over to this room just to see the painting. So, it's really been fantastic.
Does it have a title?
I think it's untitled. He keeps telling me he's going to come up with a title, but he doesn't have one yet. He, like I said, he had never really approached anything this big, and it's a little bit of a different style for him. Like we had a lot of conversations about what we wanted the piece to look like. So I think he just kind of went for it, which was
Right.
awesome.
Yeah.
And then, I don't. He keeps saying he's going to come up with something, but I don't know.
But you get to title it after a while.
Maybe, yeah,
There we go.
yeah.
So you actually have a tie to a former Atlanta United executive, I think, from your youth soccer days, don't you?
Yes. Lagerway and I went to the same soccer camp in Austin, Texas. I think we were both 15. We were there at the Roy Reese, his camp. He was the under-16 national team coach at the time, and there was a lot of us there. And we were trying to make the team and just have a good showing. And he was a goalkeeper, and he stayed down the hall from us. And just an interesting guy, Goalkeepers are just interesting people anyway. I think you have to be some kind of crazy to throw yourself at people's feet. So, and goalkeepers notoriously in the summer, especially at camps, like they always smell different because of their gloves.
Right, yeah.
It just all, they may have sweat more or whatever. So, interesting guy. I think he read a lot when he was there and stuff like that. He wasn't like super social. But super nice guy, and just glad to have him here in Atlanta.
Yeah, he's a great guy, and I hope everyone saw. I've known it for a while, but didn't want to say it because I didn't know if it was appropriate. But Garth is cancer-free.
That's amazing.
By the way, Charlie
That's
Boehm
great.
tweeted that. Fantastic news.
Great.
So part of this idea I had about getting kind of non-soccer people to talk about soccer is to kind of tie the two things they do together, their passion now versus what they kind of hope to do then. So talk to me a little bit about how is putting together a menu, for example, at Elise or Lila, like putting together a soccer team?
There's a lot of similarities between my playing days and what I do now, and I think crafting a menu is much like a team. You have to have a lot of balance, so you have to have your strengths and weaknesses as well. You always have dishes on the menu that are going to sell more, your signature dishes, whatever you want to call them. And then there's other dishes on the periphery that may not sell as more or that are a little bit more seasonal, which is just like a team. You may lose some players here, gain some players there. That's your kind of seasonal aspect of it, I guess. But it really comes down to balance, even balance of flavors, balance of textures, things like that. You want to check a lot of boxes and, pasta has always been my passion and my training. And so the pastas are probably our midfield, right? They're the engine on the menu.
Right.
And they're the playmakers, so to speak. And then, you have some dishes that may take some risks. And, that may be your striker, if you will.
Right.
So, it's very similar. And I think it's really all about balance.
Have you ever eaten a meal or smelled food and it reminded you of something to do with soccer?
Ooh, that's a great question. I just think it's like those comfort dishes, right? So whatever they may be for anyone, I have my own, usually pasta related. And I think that's the feeling I got when I was playing too. So it's a similar feeling of just being in the right place, or you're on the field and you're like, this is where I feel most comfortable. And, so I think it has to do with that. I think it's nostalgic and comfort for sure.
Now, the only knock against Craig is he's an Arsenal supporter.
Yeah.
So what pasta is Arsenal?
Ooh. So we have a squid ink spaghetti at Lila that's got smoked calamari, Calabrian chilies, a good amount of garlic, basil, some herbs, and it's really vibrant. There's a lot of flavors. It's a little spicy. The garlic is there. It's got a nice chew. So again, it's a dynamic dish that is really well balanced.
Right.
It's got a little spice to it. And that's my go-to dish when I'm eating there, honestly.
Yeah, that's my favorite too.
But yeah, I don't know how that relates to Arsenal. Maybe I don't know. Again, it's all about that balance.
Right.
And I
it's about
think
the
Arsenal's having a great season. So.
And it should win a trophy this year.
They should. I hope
think.
so.
So
We'll see.
should
Yeah,
the pasta
yeah,
dish.
yeah.
It's really, really good, by the way. I'm not just saying that because Craig is sitting here. When I go there, that's my go-to meal. So what pasta would Atlanta United be? Atlanta United. Craig is a season ticket holder to Atlanta United, by the way, longtime supporter.
Big Atlanta United supporter. I think that's a great question too. I think here maybe we have a smoked mushroom tortellini here. And the dish, it's always stayed, the pasta has stayed the same, the filling has stayed the same. but we've changed the sauce, we've changed some components about it, and I think that's kind of where Atlanta United is right now. Right?
Okay.
It's like, I think there's a good base, I think there's always been a lot of support, that's the pasta and the filling, but then we've had to change the sauce a few times, we've had to change coaches, change teams, change players, and I think that's where, I think even with this dish here, I think it's almost to where it's supposed to be,
Right.
but I'm not sure it's there yet.
Right.
I'm really happy with it, but there may be some more potential there, and I think that kind of sums up Atlanta United.
So obviously the World Cup is coming this
Yeah.
summer, 8 matches in Atlanta. I'm curious if y'all have been thinking about wines or maybe some of the stuff you rotate on and off the menu that might fit for some of the teams that are coming and the nationalities that are coming.
Sure. We're really excited about that, by the way. We have a luncheon with the Convention and Visitors Bureau tomorrow here. So really excited, trying to get out in front of that. And I think both restaurants have kind of a European approach. So, Lila Lila will certainly be more Italian, the wine list being more Italian. Here it's a little more balanced between Italian and French and things like that. So usually if we try to do something outside of what we normally do, we mess it up. And I don't want to do that.
Same here.
So I don't want to try too hard. I mean, I think, particularly the European travelers will get what we do, especially here at Elise. But, we want to check that box for everybody. I mean, we also want to show what Atlanta has to offer. At both restaurants, we try to feature Georgia ingredients and ingredients from the Southeast. So that gives the restaurants and the food a sense of place. So we want to show that a little bit as well, So again, if I try too hard, though, I'll just mess it up.
So who is your pick to win the World Cup? Who do you think?
Let's see. That's a great question. I always think England has a chance.
Right.
I always think they do. They can never get that last piece in that last game, but I mean, France is. I watched them play a little bit the other day. They just dominated.
They destroyed.
And they have almost two full teams. They have so much depth. Spain is always going to be there. Argentina is always going to be there. Brazil, I think, is still in transition, kind of in flux, if you will. You can never count out Germany. I think it's the blue bloods, if you will.
Yeah.
So Morocco, though, has had a fantastic team and a fantastic youth program. I think they'll be in there. I'm just excited. The last World Cup was really exciting. The final was one of the greatest games I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
I mean, that game, still to this day, I think is the best game I've ever seen in my entire life. I've watched a lot of soccer, and so, for it to be a World Cup final too, that stage, and Mbappe's hat trick, and Messi and everything else, it was amazing.
It was a fantastic tournament put on by Qatar. I'm excited about the 8 matches here too.
Yes.
I don't know if I can pick a dark horse. I was trying to think, if you had to pick a team that has not won a World Cup, who could win one this year. You mentioned Morocco.
Yeah.
Obviously, Portugal is loaded.
Yeah.
Portugal's going to play at the United States Tuesday at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. A roster value of $1 billion according to Transfer Market.
Yeah.
Belgium's is like $750.
Right.
I don't trust Roberto Martinez as a manager, but Portugal's talent is undeniable.
Yeah, that's no question. I mean, they have, Ronaldo, of course, and then it just goes down from there. And they're younger guys. They have a great younger team. I've never been the biggest Portugal fan for some reason. But, I mean, they'll be in there for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So what is your non-pasta, what is your favorite ingredient to put into a meal?
I mean, it has to be olive oil.
Olive oil.
I mean, it's such a base for what we do, and we have different olive oils for cooking, for finishing, things like that. That's really the ingredient that kind of the line through everything, and it's a fat. It's got fruit. Sometimes it's nutty. Sometimes it's spicy. So I can't go anywhere, really cook anything without olive oil. So, we use a Sicilian oil here that tastes like Sicily. It tastes a little bit like lemon, tastes a little bit like almonds. It's got a nice fruitiness, like the olive flavor really comes through. So that's probably it. I mean, I have a lot of kind of go-to ingredients that I use in both restaurants, things that I've just kind of gravitated towards. So I have probably 10 or 12 of those ingredients that are kind of sprinkled through here and there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And for people who are going to go travel to Los Angeles and Seattle for the U.S. matches. Do you have any advice for them on places to go?
The last time I was in Los Angeles, I think it was 2019. So it's been a little
bit,
while.
yeah.
We went to Felix Trattoria. This is all in Venice. Felix Trattoria and Gelina.
Okay.
Both excellent. Went to the same two places in the same night, but excellent places. The Gelina meal really stood out to me.
Okay.
In Los Angeles. I haven't been to Seattle in a long time.
Yeah, it's been a long time for me,
I mean,
too.
probably 30 years.
Okay.
So, but yeah, that Gelina would be my
Okay.
choice. I would go back there in an instant. So,
All right.
Yeah.
In Seattle, it's a lot of Asian flavors, Asian influence, a lot of fresh fish influence. So if those are your two things, just Google, you'll find fantastic restaurants.
Yeah.
It's a great. I've been there probably 4 times in the past 10 years.
Yeah.
Love it every time I go.
Great. Yeah. Great city. I just haven't been there in a while. So.
And try to get to Vancouver too if you're renting a car, because it's also a fantastic city. And last question for me, for aspiring chefs, what advice do you have for aspiring chefs out there?
I mean, really, it's kind of be patient. Listen, try and get better, a little bit better every day. Be on time, have good habits, things like that. Be professional. It's not an easy industry, and it's under attack for a bunch of different things, and you have to love it. Like I got into this and started doing it almost by accident, and realized I don't want to do anything else, and that's kind of the feeling you have to have, right? So you're going to work weekends, you're going to work holidays and all that, but if you just love working with food, and you love cooking food, and you love the camaraderie of a kitchen and the organization of a kitchen, if you enjoy the discipline of it, things like that, then it's for you, for sure. But, it takes some time to get to a high level. You have to kind of work your way up, for sure. I would say find a good mentor, someone that I want to be like this person, and learn from them, learn everything you can from them. Ask lots of questions, watch and learn, pay attention to what's going on. Sometimes the instruction's not always verbal. Sometimes you have to watch people and what they do, how their hands work, things like that. So, I don't have any formal cooking training, so I had to do it all on my own, and I read a lot of books and things like that. There's a lot more resources now than when I was coming up. But just be a sponge, be a sponge and be patient, and it'll happen. If you have the passion and you want to just improve it all the time, you'll get there.
It sounds the same as applicable to soccer as well.
For sure.
Tell everyone how they can find the restaurants on social media and everything.
Yes, Lila Lila is spelled Lylalila. It's Lila Lila ATL. That's the Instagram handle. And then Elise Arts Center. It's ELISE is how Elise is spelled. Also on Instagram. That's where we're most active on social media, because it's it's great for food and things like that. So we're about Elise is at the Woodruff Arts Center, and then Lila is on 3rd and Peachtree by the Fox.
And you can make reservations for both.
Correct. Yes.
And you can walk in.
Yep. Our bars always walk in, first
Right.
come, first serve. But we do encourage reservations.
And Elise has a tasting menu that is.
Yeah, we do a 5-course tasting menu. We call them the chef's tables by the kitchen. It's $95. We do an optional $35 beverage pairing, which can be non-alcoholic. And it's a menu that's separate than our a la carte menu. So other than that, the bar is full service, full menu, dining room, all that kind of stuff.
All right. Thank you, Craig.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me.
I'm Doug Robertson of Soccer with Doug. You can find me at soccerwithdoug.substack.com, on all the social media handles at Soccer with Doug. And I hope y'all enjoyed this. I hope you found some value in it. I hope you'll consider subscribing to Soccer with Doug. And I know you're going to come to either Lila or Elise, or hopefully both. All right. Thank you.